Hey guys, I'm here. Welcome back for episode 8 of season 2 of Severance. Last episode feels like a little bit of a turning point because for the longest time, Gemma has just always kind of been this thing we've always kind of talked about. We've never really got to know her and Mark's relationship except for how people have talked about them. And up until this point, we've only seen her through the eyes of everybody else on the inside as Miss Casey. Us kind of getting to like follow along through the relationship from the day they met to where she disappeared and just all the little things and that they dealt with in between. The warm moments, the not so warm moments and all of that, you know, it definitely rounded her out so much and it just shines so much light on what they had. The fact that she's still being experimented on and what she's going through, how severed she is, because it's not just Miss Casey. She's been fractured all to hell. When she's not severed, she's still trying her best to get back to Mark all this time later. Also, the revelation that Lachman has been like involved in their entire relationship. From the day they met, Lachman was the ones drawing their blood. It was the people that she visited when she had her complications. And even the guy that is involved in the current experiments was at that clinic. So there's a lot of questions surrounding that, a lot of speculation, a lot of theories, of course. It's just the beauty of this show. And I'll just gotta say, last episode was one of the most beautifully directed and shot episodes of like anything I've seen in recent memory, especially considering I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was that episode's director was their directorial debut, which is wild. What a first episode, man. Anyway, I'm excited to see what steps we take next, so let's get ready to hop in. If you want to see the full length reaction, as always, you can check it out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, get you access as well. It is a watch along format, so you will need your own footage to sync up the time codes for actually the entire episode. Over there, you get the same thing for all the other shows and movies we cover on the channel. You also get to suggest and vote about movies or react to each month. It's just a great way to support the channel, help us do the things we do over here. But at the end of the day, I really appreciate it. Enjoy this reaction. To at least leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're not already, because it really helps these videos out. With that all said and out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into episode 8, Sweet Vitriol. Here we go. What a beautiful stretch there, man. Goodness. Yeah, I thought that was Harmony's car. We're finally checking back in. It feels like we haven't seen her in a while. Thanks for visiting Salt's Neck. I really want to know what she's up to. Oh shit, I mean, I guess we might just kind of be, this might be her episode. What? Okay. How dare? Oh! Devin went through with it, but she didn't pick up.
Hear about that clusterfuck up on North Pine?
Dutch Davis kid.
How the fuck do you flip a 2-ton snowplow?
The stupidity.
Yeah, hold on. How do you pull that off?
That's kind of you.
On the house.
What the hell? It kind of looked like what that dude was drinking in the bus as well. Like the same kind of vial. Like after that whole little like drive away, when she refused to follow Helena into the Lachman building, then she had that change of heart. She was driving off, and now we find her here. I'm so curious, as I'm sure everybody is at this point, what's going to happen here? Like what is she going to do? After all of her loyalty and devotion has been kind of just not held well regarded. I can't imagine she would flip on Lachman together, though.
You want coffee?
Oh, ooh.
No.
Tables are for paying customers.
Fine, then buy me a coffee.
What the fuck? There's a history here.
The town is older than I remember.
Yeah, well, with the market readjustment from a few years ago and the fluctuating interest rates, there was a retrenchment from some of the core infrastructure investments.
I need a favor. But not here. Meet me at the factory.
Get up. Close up for me.
Lumen Flower.
You know how fucked it is to ask me to come here.
I need you to drive me to Sissy's.
Oh. No thanks.
If they're watching the house, they'll recognize my car.
How much trouble are you in? You know, she still lives by the 9.
I assumed.
Then you know she's a fucking pariah here.
You can stay in the truck. I need to get something.
Why would I help you with anything?
We were once chums. Old colleagues lift each other up.
Colleagues, child fucking labor.
Kier and Imogen met at the ether mill. You know that?
Was she hacking up a lung at the time?
I can smell it on your breath.
Fuck you.
You can help me or not, but I'll not be the punching dummy for your resentments.
So yeah, like when they said she was raised here, she quite literally was. They were colleagues, and he threw out that, you mean child labor? So they've been working for Lumen since they were children. How? Maybe even just born right into it, knowing how things have been. But it seems like he got out, in a sense, and resented it while she stayed devoted until this recent turn of events. Devon's trying again.
Coast is clear.
You're higher than a bearded vulture.
You are not welcome here. I have a mind to call the authorities. I do not want that huff peddler on my property.
You gave him his thirst for it.
You got liar's mouth.
What the hell? Oh.
Do you want to come down here and tell me what this is all about?
Quarterly Striver. Celestine Sissy Cobell.
What have you done with my things?
Sold to the poor.
They weren't yours to sell.
I sit in this house. You do not.
Has anyone been here?
No one comes here.
Or telephoned?
A Mr. Drummond.
Of course.
What did he want?
What have you done, little mouse?
Little mouse.
I want the key to Mother's room.
That room stays shut until all who remember her sit with Kier. You know this.
Give me the key.
Why do you bring nothing but woe into my life?
No, it is you who cursed this house with woe.
I will not have this quarrel.
God.
Child, do not test me.
What a weird exchange, man. Especially between two people that were raised in all of
You
this.
said nothing after you pulled the tube from her gullet.
There was gratitude in her eyes to be freed from her suffering. If only she had been a believer, perhaps she would have found solace in the 9. You didn't have to listen to her wheezing, as I did.
I would have cared for her myself had I not been at school. I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Your studies were more important. Mr. Egan saw Kier in you. He really did. And the Wintertide Fellowship, even at the factory, no apprentice was more industrious than you. Such a disappointment you've proven to be.
What did Drummond tell you?
Return and plead forgiveness, child. The Egans will grant it.
And show me mercy. Just like you did with Mother. Where's the key?
Oh. But, God, Drummond's
All
like...
you will find in there is pain.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. I don't even remember what I was gonna say now. Because we know she's devoted, almost overly devoted. That's why, you know, it was one of the things I was talking about before is like, I think a lot of her actions were extreme even by their own measures, but all to that same end. But now they're like spinning some kind of narrative as if she's like this, I don't know. Cards, Shrine, Kier. Those little figures we've seen before.
I found it!
But there is a little bit of this difference between the two of them too, you know. She wanted to be here with her mother. She wanted to be here to hear her words. But they were like, no, Kier is more important. Your school is more important. Your duty is more important. But she laments that part of it. So it's not, there is conflict. Oh. Sobbing turned into that song. Back to these waves yet again. This is such a interestingly I mean, that last episode was haunting in a very different way. There is, well, it's got this, obviously, this undercurrent of like the cult element of this whole Lumen Kier thing.
Is this what happened?
Nothing. Came to get you. She's not too happy about it.
Did you see something?
No, but it's cold as shit in the truck, and I gotta get back.
Oh, he was like tired of waiting.
I what?
Give me a minute just to think.
I liked her.
You barely knew her.
She hated Lumen more than I did. That's all I needed to know. At least she doesn't have to live with Sissy anymore.
Oh, that looks like a genuine smile there.
You want to get high?
Yes, Tally. What is this anyway? Like, what is this drug that they're taking? You know, it seems like, unlike her sister, she was maybe a reluctant participant in this, but felt that she needed to, like, pursue it because that's all she had.
Since I was 8.
I'm sorry. Since you were what?
You ready to man the bath for 10 hours?
This that so-called ether that maybe like after.
Shameful that you sell it.
Let's say like that she lost a lot to it, so maybe she kind of, because of that, committed even harder and then made it, I mean, because it was already so much of her life and she had given up so much, so she just felt like she needed to keep going. But then that she had this falling out of sorts with the company is just in conflict.
She wouldn't throw it away.
I don't know. I want to know what she's actually after. Annual reminiscences. Looked like a yearbook. James Egan, it's another award of hers. Oh, is there something hidden within? What the hell?
Find it?
Get your truck ready. And watch my head. I'm going. Don't tell them I was here.
I would never bear falsity to a steward of the Edens.
Lachman destroyed this town. You owe them no loyalty.
There was no town before the factory. And what about your own employ? Everything that you have, you owe back to the Egans as fealty.
Fealty?
What is this medieval ass cult ass shit, dude?
Mine! My designs!
Oh.
Circuit blueprint, base code, overtime contingency, Glasgow block, all of it!
Oh!
James Egan was the inventor.
So I've heard.
Oh!
Extraordinary. Why have you never spoken of this?
I was told Kier's knowledge is for all. That if I sought credit, I would be banished.
So then it was taken and then passed off as James's creation. Oh! No, 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 no! Beat her ass! Oh!
Die as painfully as
Wow.
It was
So-
her hand that removed the tube, not mine.
Oh.
Your mother was a coward.
Oh,
More
you-
sick in the soul than in the body.
Oh, maybe this is her aunt. I mean, obviously she's a lot older than her. I just thought she was an older sister.
I thought you were different, my flower. I tried to help you grow, but now I see you are a weed, just as she was.
Wow. What a revealing episode. That maybe that's why she's so gung-ho about being in charge of the severed floor and seeing through those experiments, testing Mark, seeing the bounds of it and all this kind of stuff, cause it was her creation. Damn, dude. Whoa. I want to go back and look at some stuff here in a minute, too. And here they come.
Come tame these tempers of assholes.
What are you going to do? Are you ever going to answer that phone? If we can join forces, that would be beautiful.
I've been trying to reach you. So listen, Mark has been reintegrating.
A copy.
Yeah.
Is Mark with you?
Oh, yes.
Put him on.
Hello?
Tell me everything.
Whoa! What is this? This is not a team up I was expecting. I mean, hell, they floated it. They floated it. They fucking floated it. Holy shit. Yeah, they crossed one too many lines with her. You know, okay, this makes so much of her behavior makes so much more sense. Like, she was raised in this town, in this, I'm gonna just call it a cult. Call it what it is. You know, like, as a child, because this Lumen came in, built their ether factory. I assume now that this was her aunt. She's truly devout. Even with this revelation that has been brought to her eyes, she tried to destroy it to protect the company, to protect everything else. She was like, well, what about, well, see, you saw what they did this town. They like raised it. They did what they did to us. They brought us in. They did all this. And she was just like, there was no town before that factory. Coming back to her hometown where she grew up and all this kind of stuff, where she's kind of surprised to see it in the state that it is. Cause I guess she just simply hasn't been here probably since she left, when they worked at the factories and whatnot. And she seems genuinely kind of surprised that they left it in this state, and that the people here are just kind of hanging on by a thread. Like her and this guy who were quite chummy, as she said, like at the day when they both worked at the factory, who resents it. You know, they're like, everybody here is just trying to get by. They're all getting high and all this other shit just to kind of at least enjoy the life that they have. But the fact that not only did this company reap her ideas and sell them as their own, but they reaped the resources of this town and gave absolutely no care back to it. Nothing here. They just used it up for everything that it had and left it to just rot and erode to time. Like the waves crashing on the rocks, there's a lot of things you can read into that, is the way that the salt water, the ocean, the torrents, the waves, the froth, the jetsam flotsam of it all just slowly erodes those boulders, those pieces of you. Like that's kind of what this whole ideology kind of does. Like over the time, those things kind of whittle you down. And it's almost like, in a way, this reserved nature of Harmony is the way that she's kind of been able to survive everything. Her ideas being taken, her time with her mother being taken away. And then the fact that through all of that, toss her aside after all of this as well, take the floor away from her, take her project away from her, the things she created away from her in every level of it, not even being involved in it anymore. You know, it's just one step too far, and you know, it was more than she could take. And I'm wondering if that's the quote unquote very same factory. I mean, I presume it is, that, you know, because they were talking about it, where, like they said in the tales that Kier met Imogen, and all of this kind of started, this ether factory. And I don't know what ether is necessarily. I've heard of it in real life, but I don't really know what it is outside of like it restores mana in RPGs. Pleasant smelling, colorless, volatile liquid that is highly flammable. It is used as an anesthetic and as a solvent or intermediate in industrial processing. Okay, so they're snuffing gas essentially, but they worked at that factory. And they worked at that factory as kids. So she was like raised in this, and her mother absolutely did not believe in any of it. You know, it created this kind of tension, this vitriol within the family. I mean, hell, that episode's called Sweet Vitriol. I mean, that could be indicative of a lot of different things in the episode, as well as we've now seen, because this gives us a lot of insight into Cobell. Like, she was kind of like, I mean, she grew up in this town, and I think as a result had to go through all these things, like, and she had, because of being in school and going through all of this stuff, because they saw Kier in her, because she was good, like at the factory, she stood out, she had great ideas, she was innovative, and they took advantage of that, they propped her up, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And then because of all of this, she wasn't able to be there when her mother passed, and then she was left in her aunt's care. She's like, I didn't pull the tube on her, she just did it all of her own, she just wanted it all to end, you know. And that just, so she's lived with this lie on top of all of this the entire time as well. And it's like she lost that time with her mother, she lost all of this, she lost all these things. So the only thing she maybe felt that she could do from that point on is commit even further. Did all the things that were expected of her, did all the penances and all these other things, tamed her tempers and all this crap, that it'd be worth it in the end maybe. And especially knowing that now that she invented Severance, she designed it. She was here to get her original booklet that contained her designs. And like they said, it's like this collective, this idea that everything is shared, when really it's just the people at the top are reaping the benefits of everybody beneath them. The public believes that it was Helena's father that invented this process, but that's just wholly not true. He took her designs and took credit for it and is using this all for their own ends. And going back to the book that she dug up before she found her plans and all of that, that yearbook where we see her side by side with James in this thing, I wanted to go back and double check, and I just did, that I was reading it correctly, or that I remembered what I read correctly. And it was this Wintertide fellowship that she had won. So through that internship of sorts, or whatever that fellowship is probably where they started their relationship. She started to move out of here and towards working with Lumen. And then we've heard Wintertide before in relation to Miss Wong. That informs, at least to us, why she's there and why she's a kid working in Lumen. She's there as an intern in the same way that Harmony was. But because of that relationship as well, what did she exchange? What did she lose? What is going on with her? You know, or is she just another cog in the wheel that is falling victim to all of this, while Cobell has already been through all of that and now has been abused by that journey? You know, we saw once she won that fellowship as a result, maybe by her research, or maybe that came after, that had been reaped and taken and stolen by them. We don't seek credit, so that you don't argue it when we roll it out under our own names. You know, oh my God. There's a lot of lovely little things that we got in this episode. Lots of little nuggets that just shine a bright ass light on a lot of things that have preceded this up until this point. Also getting this backstory about Cobell and then realizing that she's the creator of the severance procedure itself, it just makes so much sense. Coming from where she did, the family that she did, who both had these very differing oppositional ideas about life, the world, their views on Lumen and the industry itself, and then her being a child worker and having to kind of just live between these two worlds, you know. And yeah, like she said, she hadn't did this drug since she was 8. So like being in that factory, working in this place, all of these things that just kind of whittled around the life, it makes sense that she would come up with a way to like just not have to live with that, to sever, to disconnect as this coping mechanism to just kind of get by, because she had to kind of just be two different people her entire life, to put up these barriers, these walls, and shield part of herself off completely. And maybe it wasn't even about her too. It could have definitely been her way of trying to like come up with an idea that might help somebody like her mother, who's going through this physical and mental battle with herself, in this way to try to maybe exercise these elements and maybe create like a happier version of her, a way for her to be happy while she's kind of dealing with everything else. I don't know, because then that would also parallel the exact reason Mark even signed up for it to begin with, the appeal that comes from that, or at least the perceived appeal that comes with that, because he's dealing with loss. And coming back to her, it could have been her response to the loss of her mother, because it sounds like it happened while she was at school, so she still would have been very, very young. And it probably, I don't know, that maybe it was just the experience of losing her mother that prompted her to come up with that, rather than the factory itself. I don't know. It's really interesting to see how this kind of shapes that perspective, why the severance floor and that whole thing means so much to her. Testing it, seeing where its bounds are, because it's essentially her baby. It's her project. Now, though, after all this devotion, after all this loss, after everything that she's given into this, and she's always been, as we've seen, a little at odds with everything else, a little off compared to everybody else we've seen from Lumen, from the Egan side of things, from Drummond, Helena, James, all of it. in that she's got this I was raised in this and I believe this kind of stuff up until this point, where we've seen like Helena kind of laugh and poke fun at some of the shit that they spew, and it's almost like there's like this disconnection from the devout and then the people running everything, which again, very cult-like. Find that very fascinating, because I think a lot of this, especially when we came back to that one, the last moment Helena and her were together, and she was like, come in, let's meet with the board. Let's talk to them. Let's go inside. How want to come inside? And then one dude kind of stepped up, like showing his hand a little bit. I think they were going to I don't think she was going to leave that building if she had walked in. And I think she got that idea. And every step of the way, like no matter what she's done for this company, what she's sacrificed and lost, I think that was the last straw. And she was like, all right, fuck you. And we were wondering where she was running off to after that, and then it was up here. It was going back to Salt's Neck, where it all started for her. Wanted to find her designs for this, the evidence that she came up with this. For what end, I don't know. Meanwhile, Devon's calling her the entire time. I thought Devon was going to give up on that, but I guess after the doc left, she just hasn't been back, because we know that at least in that episode, she didn't actually go through with the phone call, at least when we saw that, but she did press, she'd called, and now they're just like, hey, Mark's reintegrated. We had nobody else we thought we could reach out to that might understand this, and honestly, she might understand this more than anybody up until this point. The fact that Lumen is hunting her down, Drummond's already been here looking for her, and, you know, they're talking about her as if she's this like heretic now or whatever. They're smearing her to their peers, her family, and all this kind of stuff. And luckily, like, some of the people here who grew up in this factory don't have that devotion. Like they said, I think a lot of the people here, you know, after they pulled out after Lumen left and the town to rot, it seems like her aunt is the only person left in this town that actually still adheres to this. They call her the town pariah. And then there's all the questions about what Lumen's goals actually are. How far does this go? Is it this immortality project? Because, I mean, there was all the baby stuff in the last episode. And there's also the speculation that, based on like what Gemma was saying, that maybe she volunteered for whatever procedure this was, but didn't understand what it was. Didn't understand what would happen on the other side of it with Mark, her death being faked, with what this would mean, you know, if she was actually trying to pursue some kind of method of childbirth after everything that she had gone through. There's a lot of stuff speculating about that, because especially because a lot of the opening, we've been seeing more and more of it becoming a little more illuminated as to what it means symbolically. And then there's always that final shot as Mark's sitting on the bed as this little baby Kier is there, as if they're going to be birthing some kind of second coming of Kier or something like that, or maybe some kind of resurrection in their own way in some mind, maybe not literally, but you know, it's all studying these tempers, it's all instilling these values that they preach. I don't know, man, this is wild. What a team up we're about to have, especially when we end with Devon talking to her and she's just like, tell me everything, because I think she's just fucking done at this point. We got 2 episodes left to go for this season, man. We got 2 more episodes and it is getting good. This was a little bit of a slower one, and I appreciate that. I love when there's like this mood to it all. So this reaction might not be as eventful as some of the other ones, so I do apologize for that aspect of it, but this was like a very slow burn of an episode, because it was just this insightful like reflection on Cobell as a person, and then this place and the people that are here, the people that have been affected by it, impacted by it, those people that worked at that factory as kids and then grew up and either went into the company or didn't, and they probably used that to vet who they would bring along with them too. As we've seen, you know, he stayed behind and he didn't, you know, he quite clearly never really took to it in the way that she did. I don't know, I find so much of that fascinating, and it's on this isolated little coastal town, the frigid icy waters and all this, always crashing against the rocks, whittling away, eroding, taking its toll, the salt, the water, all of it. Oh, love it. So beautiful. Anyway, guys, I want to know what you think. How do you feel about this episode? Do you agree, disagree? Where are you at on any of this? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We're carrying the conversation after the video. Hope you enjoyed the reaction. If it did, leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're not already. Remember, if you want to see the full length reaction, as always, you can check it out over on Patreon, or if you're member of the channel, get you access as well. And speaking of before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends. Manny Share, York Korskov, Robert Anguiano, Jeffrey L, Jay Cottrell, Eric Official, Casey Wood, Russell Crockett, Watchtower. Thank you guys so much for continued support. But that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.